Hi, my name's Georgia Rowswell, and I'm here at beautiful UCross, and I'm doing an artist residency right now. And so this is my temporary studio. Normally I work in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I have a studio downtown. But right now I've been given the gift of ultimate time to do my artwork. I don't have any distractions. They actually bring my meals to me, and it's wonderful. I can get a lot of work done. So artist residencies are important times for artists to get work done, get inspiration, network with other people. And there are residencies available all across the United States and internationally. So if some point in your life that's a part of what you can do, I highly recommend it. So what inspired me as a child was watching my family make. I came from a long line of makers. My dad owned a wood shop and he would make his projects from wood. But my real inspiration, I would say, was my mother. I watched her work with her hands all the time. She loved to knit, crochet, quilt, sew, and she taught me how to do all those things. She baked. I mean, even that was something I considered artistic, working with your hands. I could see that it was valued and important to my family, and that the thing that was homemade and handmade was special. And I also always loved the feeling watching my mom, for instance, knit, take this ball of yarn, this skinny thread, and from that feeling of taking something that wasn't all that interesting and important and making a beautiful sweater from it. So that making something from nothing, I think, really influenced me. One of the best pieces of advice I got as a starting artist, and even now, is to be curious, to look around, to have your eyes open. I think artists are always ready to get new experiences. I have literally made a piece of art that was 6 feet tall. Elimia tenera was in my show at the Nick, from a tiny little fossil that I was just fascinated with the pattern, and I wanted to know more. So I went and did some research. So that element of curiosity has always been a driving force in my work. So my process, what I do is I look for interesting textiles. I'm a fiber artist, so I go to thrift stores and I paw through things and I find a piece of clothing, a bedspread. I'm looking for color, pattern, texture, and they might be really ugly, something I don't want to wear, and I'm kind of embarrassed to buy them because they're so ugly, but I know it's going to be great for what I'm doing. So I take these things that really have, their value is pretty much gone, and I like to reclaim them and then cut them up and manipulate them, move them around, and transform them and turn them into a piece of art. And the other thing that I find really interesting about working with textiles is all these pieces have stories in them. And some of them I know, and some of them I'll never know, but they're stories. Who made them? I can look at the labels and they come from all different kinds of countries. Who wore them? Where I got them? What I'm doing with them? They all have stories. So the idea of reclaiming, transforming, and then listening to the stories is something that's important in my work.
All right, so now that we've gotten to see how Georgia creates her artwork and where she creates her artwork, today we are going to be doing a project inspired by the fiber arts. We're going to be sewing our very own emoji pillows. So in your kit, you should have a needle, you should have a little bit of thread, you'll have some foam paper, you'll have some stuffing for stuffing the inside of that pillow, 2 pieces of felt, and you've got some little stickies in there as well. Some things you might need to grab if you have them around the house are some scissors and possibly some markers as well. In your kit, you also have a sample sheet of different kinds of emojis, so pick your favorite. We all have a favorite. This is definitely my favorite. And we also have some templates for you to cut out. Some of these might be a little big. We might have to trim them down. But just to help you kind of have a guide for creating your emoji's facial expressions. So have all that ready to go. And the first thing you're going to do is take those 2 felt circles and just kind of place them together. And it's okay that these black dots are on the outside and showing, because eventually we're going to turn this inside out and you won't even see those anymore. And the reason we made these black dots is just to show you how many stitches you're going to need to put in that pillow. If you do too little, your stuffing will start to fall out. So you got to have at least this many. So you're going to take your thread and very carefully, that's not a good end, put it on your needle, which is going to be extra hard since I'm on camera. And then what you want to do is pull it through all the way till it lines up with that other end. So you're basically folding it in half on your needle. And then with those two ends, you're just going to tie them together in a knot. And if you need help tying a knot, just ask an adult. They can give you some help. Tie it in a nice little knot. Sometimes I like to double knot just for safety. Just like that. Our needle is ready to go. So now we're just going to take the needle and thread, and I'm just going to go right in, making sure these two circles are nice and lined up. If you need something to clip them together, you can use like a paper clip or something. And I'm just going to take my needle and go right inside that black dot, pull my thread all the way through. Now we're on this side, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure my needle goes right in between those two dots. And again, pull all the way through. Go back in that black dot. Flip it over. Make sure my needle comes up in between those black dots. Pull it all the way through. And again, you always want to make sure you're lined up. You're going through both pieces of felt. If you're not going through both pieces of felt, your pillow will not stay together. So just keep doing that all the way around your pillow. Okay, so now I'm at the end where I've got a nice little gap. And basically what we're going to do now, you can leave that thread attached. Just leave it hanging there, don't lose it. And we're just going to very carefully start to push the inside out, or yeah, outside in. And you'll just have to use your fingers in there and start to kind of push out all those edges. Just like that. Now with this little pocket, you're going to take all that fluff and just carefully, again, make sure you haven't lost your little thread and needle, and start to stuff your pillow. Make sure you push it up into all those little spaces. Just like that. Now we are ready to close up our pillow. So you can just fold those together and kind of sew it the way we were, but you're gonna have kind of a weird edge. So if you can, you wanna kind of fold those in. It's kind of complicated. And you might just wanna start with one side. Fold those little edges over. Just like that. You're gonna have to pull your thread tight again from the stitches you made before. It's gonna fight you. And then you're just going to very carefully go through both sides. And again, this time, instead of going front to back and then back to front, I'm just going to stay on the front side. And carefully sew this little pocket closed. And you might find a way that works better for you. That's okay. Everybody kind of has a different way of holding and sewing. This is called hand stitching that we're doing. Georgia Rowswell does a lot of hand stitching. And you might be running out of thread like I am. That's okay. We should be able to finish. Okay, you can stop as soon as you start to see where you began sewing. Now to finish, we just want to tie a knot. So I'm just going to kind of go through, and again, I'm running out of thread. And you want to go through, ouch, I just poked myself. Be careful, these needles are very sharp. Make a little loop, let me do it again. To finish, basically you just want to go through and have a little loop, and then just try to get your needle through that little loop. If you didn't leave yourself enough, you can always just kind of go through a few times in the same spot. Just make sure you pull it nice and tight and go through a few times. Then you can take your scissors and voila, you have the head of your emoji. So next, like I said, you gotta decide which emoji face is your favorite. That is what we are going to use the foam paper for. Now this is, you might need to grab yourself some markers, because as you can see, some of these have different colors other than the white, red, and black we provided you, which is okay. You can use markers to color on that white and make different things different colors. So for my emoji this time, I'm gonna do Mr. Sunglasses face. So I cut out the sunglasses. They were a little big, so I trimmed them down to make sure they'd fit on my pillow. So this is what I'm going to use as a template on my black foam paper. So you'll need a pencil, and you can just lay down that template right on top of your foam paper. Carefully trace around it with your pencil. Probably can't see it too well, but I can. That's all that matters, as long as you can see it. And then we're just going to carefully cut our design out. just like that. Now, your foam paper probably has some paper on the back of it, and if you peel that paper off, it's pretty sticky. We also provided you with, oh no, some little glue dots. You can also use those to help stick it on, or if mom or dad happens to have some fabric glue, you can also use that so that you'll get a little bit more of a permanent stick. This might lose stickiness after a while. So then I'm just going to carefully place and press it down real good. And I've got the eyes for my emoji. And earlier I cut out the mouth. This one doesn't have the stickiness on the back, so I could just take these little glue dots. These are very, very sticky, so be careful. Stick that on my little smiley face. Another thing that you can do with these glue dots is just kind of press your foam onto it and then carefully peel off, and it should stay in place. Very, very sticky. I'm going to do one more. And then carefully press it down real good. Looks like I need another one on the edge there. And I've got Mr. Cool smiley face with the sunglasses. But again, if you wanted to do any of the rest of these and you don't have the right color, just trace your template and then use some markers or whatever you have at home to color it the right color. And that is how you do an emoji pillow. I hope you guys have fun.
Thank you for visiting me at UCross, and I hope you have a wonderful time with the spring break projects and that you come and visit the Nick real soon.